I'm B. Welcome to my channel. There are approximately 15 million YouTube channels that create content, and you landed on mine. I hope you will stick around and hear what I have to say on this topic and share your thoughts as well in the comments section. And as always, please be respectful to the people I'm speaking on. Thank you. The Truth Never Dies, Episode 1, Part 2 of my reaction, I guess, to it. My takeaway. So, after nearly 6 minutes that I covered in Part 1, we finally arrived at Episode 1. Or so I thought. So now we have Jessica in a white t-shirt, whereas the others started with her in a black t-shirt. So this is a different point in time. And she's sitting with her papers in front of her on the desk saying, I know that the intro to this was very intense. Yes, Jessica. Yes, Jessica, that was by design. As I laid out in my first video, there were a few events that took place, but Jessica clipped and jumbled them to make them appear more intense with the frequency of interactions. However, if you follow the actual timing and leave the events intact, they aren't as they appeared in her intro to the episode. She dramatically drops a stack of papers to the desk. And then she says that she's going to lay out her intent for this video. 1. Highlight parasocial relationships and how that deeply affects the content creator. 2. Share how victims of DV are not believed, not taken seriously, or when they are believed, the system still fails to protect them. She interjects because I had the privilege and muscle to leave. 3. Highlight cancel culture. 4. Mental health, substance abuse disorder, and all things tangled in between. 5. Narcissistic abuse and smear campaigns and just how evil those situations are. And 6. Family court and how that is a shit show. So at this point, Jessica gives us an artificial hope of her taking some accountability for her actions in this matter, as she describes herself toxic, ungrateful, and petty. But that is short-lived when it explains colorful words as her having to defend herself and explains away the situation. She is set on laying out that she only acted poorly as a reaction, not an action. None of this is her fault. Jessica wants us to know that reactive abuse is a very real thing. And for a mere second of this portion of her video, she takes responsibility by saying the defense of reactive abuse doesn't excuse all the actions she has done this past year. Again, just calling these things she has done mean, toxic, or petty, not exactly laying instances out of what she may have done wrong. But then quickly turns right around a sentence later and says that there's a scientific and psychological reason for what she has done in the last year. I want to also point out that it's possible, actually more than possible, that Reese has a scientific and psychological reason for what he's done in the last year as well. Jessica then explains that she has so much info to produce to us that she's having trouble laying it out in a cohesive manner while trying to produce episode 1. It's a little too late for some advice here, but a timeline and sequence of events that got us to where we are today would have been helpful. Not necessarily a visual document, but to have started at the beginning of where this started for her, and at what point she let her audience in on it, and what happened privately between the scenes that she feels is relevant to what we see today. In my opinion, she decided her truth was more important than the truth. And as the old saying goes, the truth is always better. I do feel if she had told the truth in this docuseries in chronological order with a cohesive thought of just letting the events speak for themselves, it would have lent her some sympathy and support even with the perceived wrongdoings. We're close to 9 minutes in, and I'm either confused as all get out or highly stimulated by all the distractions. While she is telling us about how confused we should be, she adds to it with showing comments she's received on her content. She now says paperwork will be at the end of the video. The layout of this video, according to Jessica, is going to be as follows. Intro that she had a panic attack in because it is really, really important. A lot of raw footage of her saying, like, fight me, ho. That's it. That's what I want to be. I want to be raw, vlog style, not overly edited. I'm sort of cringing. I mean, too late. I have one of those handheld number clickers, and you've surely exceeded the max count just to this point here at 9.5 minutes. The edits in her videos are insane. Sometimes after one sentence, there's an edit. So it's highly edited. Just to try to say it's going to be raw is not, I can't. And then we're here at the intro 300. She's showing the same footage as she clipped in the beginning of her episode. The repetitiveness is to drive a point home for her. This is not real or raw. We move on to her speaking to the camera and then calling her editor on the phone. And I just want to say your editor sucks. This footage doesn't add any context to your story. It further exhibits you manipulating your ride or die. You say you edit to limit your crying on camera. However, I've seen you, quote, cry, unquote, a lot. But there's never any real tears or emotion along with it. You hang your head and you dab your eye, but the tears aren't there. You look at the camera several times and fluffed your hair, but then come back to the camera and say, shit, I was still recording. Unbelievable. This is unbelievable. We now are seeing body cam of Jessica with the officer in an interview room on December 7th, 2022. However, you showed us footage from the Ring camera of Reese grabbing a suitcase from the porch of August 21, 2022, and on August 22, 2022, of you outside of what appears to be a court building. And then again, you're taking out the trash on October 17th, 2022. There's another of just Reese speaking to someone caught on Ring Cam on October 26th, 2022. What made you start with December 7th, 2022? You put those videos in the intro to this video, the clips of those August, October, but yet you start this video with December 7th. I just don't get it. My first takeaway is how calm and relaxed you are. I get it's possible to say you aren't around Reese and it's in a police station, you're safe, you're with an officer, but you also have a very vocal, you speak out a lot about your fear of police and how it affects you and your PTSD, and it makes you freeze and you're uncomfortable, and this is what Reese uses against you. I haven't seen that yet, but that's what you've told us. But here I'm watching you with none of these reactions. I don't get that from what I'm watching. I just wanted to take a note of this, of my impression of what I'm seeing. somehow it starts off with you were going to have dinner. Everything seemed okay, but he's really worried about the phone activity. He was in the bathroom, came out. He wanted into your phone. I don't think you should be with anyone. This is to anyone listening. I don't think you should be anyone that you don't trust. If you have to be in their phone, you have to know what they're doing at all time or what they might be doing without your knowledge. These are not, you're not supposed to be with that person. Don't be with that person. Then you say he abuses you in the bathroom. He lets you go. You go to get your stuff and Squishmallows. And you'd been staying at a motel 2 weeks prior. He wants to see the girl. You are all over the place. And I mean, in a stressful situation, I get that. But somehow this is not the same timing. This is 2 weeks difference. So you were in a motel 2 weeks prior. He wanted to see the girls. And he drives you to the motel. It's confusing because you made it sound like the girls were with the sitter for the night. And you had all returned home and living under the same roof at this point. But now you're still staying at the hotel, separated from Reese, spending the night with him after dinner when all this happens. And then he goes with you to the room. And then you need to get him an Uber. And this is confusing because you say he has your phone and keys. He's driving you all around. He finally takes you to the hotel. And he can't leave because you need to call him an Uber. Mind you, he has your phone. And you don't just take him into the lobby to use the phone there or do it from the parking lot, but you take him all the way to the room, the safe space you acquired to escape him with the girls. And just moments ago, you're saying he's a danger to you and to the kids in the way you're describing his mental state and the abuse you just laid out and spoke of only minutes prior, but you took him back to the room where the kids were to call him an Uber? And you don't really lay out the date here, but you're saying 2 weeks prior. And I'm going to get to where I think the date falls into, but so the officer asked how the 30 minutes transpired in the bathroom. What happened during those 30 minutes? And you said that the contact lasted maybe 30 seconds. It felt like forever, but it was maybe 30 seconds. And the rest is verbal abuse of asking for the passcode to your phone. Again, that's not okay. I don't want to be like I'm defending that action. That is not okay. Then you show a letter on the screen over top of this interview room from the hotel that's dated Saturday, November 19th, 2022. And that letter states that Reese entered the hotel alone, walked past the front desk to the elevators, took an elevator to the 3rd floor where you were staying. He moved towards your room, but then came back down the elevator to the lobby and inquired about your room. When they would not give him the information, he asked for a receipt from a prior stay he had had at the hotel, and then he left. You state that the hotel told you that they would ban him from the property, and you're like, no, it's okay. And they're like, no, we have to protect our guests as well. This all makes sense. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with it. It's just the way that you lay these things out is my problem. So the hotel said they would ban him. He came back at another time with you. The two of you entered together to pick up some of your stuff, your property from the hotel. So you brought him there. He asked the clerk if he was banned. He says no. And he turns to you and said, Jess, you lied to me. I get where that would be, however, but why are you taking him back after the incident that we're talking about that you're reporting now? So somewhere in between the November 19th and December 7th, You again had him at the hotel. The officer asked if you have any footage, and you say not from that night, and I'm assuming you're speaking of the bathroom incident, but then you go on to show the 19th, and you provide footage from inside the house on a ring cam that's dated November 19th, the same night as the letter from the hotel, where he entered alone by himself and asked for your room, according to the hotel. But you show ring cam from the house that the two of you shared, where you're hysterical, asking for your phone and wanting to leave. Reese appears to be in front of you. Then the video cuts with only audio. You're still playing it, and then you're back, and it appears Reese trying to wrap his arms around you and hug you. You obviously don't want him to. You're inconsolable. And something about this is about swiping your phone to discard a message that had popped up, and he thought you deleted it, and you said, no, I just swiped it away. But then you're back to this is the night you were in the bed, and he took you to the bathroom. The same night he entered the hotel alone, according to the hotel, on their camera system. But you spent the night with him, or started to. Do you see where this is confusing? Because the dates are on these cameras, the dates are on these letters you're providing, but none of it is equating to the... Something's not right. Something's not right. Okay, so this is... You said you had the phone on the bedside table. You hadn't touched it at all. You came out of the bathroom. You hadn't even touched it. Then you're telling the cop that you had swiped away notifications. Again, no reason to touch your phone. If he doesn't trust you, that's his problem. Y'all don't belong together. Not excusing it, but your story's not adding up to what you're saying or what you're presenting the evidence of. The officer asks you about your phone and Reese, and if he's always been this way about your phone since you're on social media, and you say he didn't used to care, but now he does. Jessica, I wish I had somewhere in here the date, because I'm quite sure I have no proof. Someone out there does. Someone has it, and they do have it. But this all leads me to believe that this was after Jason and Reese were hanging around together and used together. And it's around the same time that after they used together that Jason presented Reese with the emails from prison where you were having a relationship with Jason while with Reese for a very long time behind Reese's back. And it's no excuse. Reese should have left you. If he was so bothered and unable to trust you, he should have never tried to control you, who you were talking to, because he already knew. He no longer trusted you and should have left it at that. But all of this happened after he found out about you and Jason. The officer asked how you've been since he last saw you about 2 months ago. You say that you've bought a house. This is December 7th. You've already purchased a house. 2 weeks ago, you were with Reese on November 19th. You have your own house. You're getting your last few things out of the house that you and Reese shared. You insert a screenshot of a picture taken over Reese's shoulder because you're telling the officer that he gets into all my stuff. He's in my social media. He's in my accounts. So you show a screenshot of Reese sitting on the couch with a phone in his hand, and you zoom in on the phone, and there's a message on the screen that says, Chris, pull everything on Jess's accounts. Need all social media transactions. Well, this very well could be him doing devious stuff with your accounts. It could have been taken at any time. There's no context to this. There's no pinpointing of a date to this being what you're saying it is. Maybe he was getting ready to do the taxes. I don't know, but this fits your narrative. But is it context or is it planted info? Because we don't have any way of knowing. Okay. This is a lot. I'm barely into episode 1. Bear with me, you guys. I was a victim of domestic violence. So I do not want to put the blame on her, but if she's going to take the excuses, there's excuses for his actions as well. But there's no excuse for any of it. They need to leave each other alone. This never should have happened. Jessica shouldn't have had a relationship with Jason while living with Reese and having plans of marriage with him. It's just a whole thing. So I'm going to stop here for this part of my episode 1, part 2 of Jessica's truth. This is not the truth. This is Jessica's truth. But I'm having a really hard time with past and present because I'm trying to stay in the past of this docuseries as I work through it. But I also have some knowledge of current info that seeps in from the present day. So it's hard to ignore that while dealing with this. And so I'm stuck on a comment that she said on the Dopey podcast where she was talking to JD, and he said to her that she needs to go to the police and document abuse so that when she went for custody, she would have domestic violence on record and not just alleged it for custody reasons. While that's true, it feels like a lot of the info we are seeing is out of order and only what she wants us to see so that it backs her allegations. And it has given me a lot of concern. She spent years with Reese, and only after Jason entered the picture and they used together and Jason showing the emails between Jessica and himself, we are hearing of all this turmoil in their life. It just makes you question what is the truth when you have someone who has blatantly lied about so many things that we already know of. Please join me for part 3 of episode 1 coming soon. Thank you.